everybody! Welcome to the second week of Android University. So in this second week, we're going to continue building out the app that we worked on last week, which was the Flix app. So just as a review and a quick reminder, last week if you finished all your required features, your app will look something like this, where we have a list of movies and each movie has information about the poster for the movie's title, and the movie's description. And we're also able to support two different kinds of modes, the portrait mode and the landscape mode, that has a slightly different layout for each one. And so just as a recap, so far, our Flix app does a few things really well. So we can display a list of currently playing movies, and for each movie item, we also are able to grab all the information, including the title, the image, and an overview, and we get to display all that in our recycler view. So through working through these required features, we learned about a ton of really important Android concepts. So the part about displaying a list of currently playing movies, we worked with activities. So activity, as you can recall, is what basically is a screen in Android. And since every app needs at least one screen and something for the user to see and interact with, we started out with this first activity that showed the list. And in order to display a list of movies currently playing, we were able to utilize the recycler view in Android. And as part of building out the recycler view, we had to build out the layouts for each individual movie item. And this included knowing how layouts work, how to build layouts through XML files, how to load image views, and how to make network calls, because we had to get all this data from somewhere, right? And so we were able to use the async HTTP client in order to make these network calls and grab all the information from the internet and be able to display the data in our app. So just as a reminder, we learned about a lot of concepts last week, but I think the most important one that will carry over to this week is going to be the recycler view adapter class. So as you recall, this is a slide from the first week, but I wanted to go over the important parts of the adapter class so that we could all be on the same page again and be reminded of why the recycler view is so powerful. So this was the bare bones class for an adapter. This is not filled out yet, but we'll go through each of the important methods and just as a reminder about what they do and why they're useful. So the first important thing in the adapter is the view holder. So as you recall, the view holder provides a reference to each of the views within the data item. And we use this to cache the views within the item layout so we can access these different views in a fast way. And typically, when you're building out the view holder, it will look something like this. You do a lot of the find view by IDs in order to set up the text views, the image views, and whatever other kind of views you have in your layout. So that's what the view holder is for. The view holder is where we do all the find view by IDs and cache these views so that we don't have to do the same find view by ID for every single item. The next important thing is the onCreate view holder. So if you recall, onCreate view holder is where we tell the recycler view how we want this item to be laid out. And the important part of this is this line here where we have the email item view. And you see here we tell the recycler view, hey, we want this item to be laid out with the specific layout file, the item_email. So in our Android Studio project, we would have a file called item_email.xml, and in that file is where we had all these previous views defined, the name and the message title. And then in the onCreate view holder, we're able to inflate this layout and then return a view holder instance. And then finally, the last important method in the adapter class is onBind view holder. So onBind view holder is the one that's responsible for populating data into the item. And if you recall, the important parts of building a recycler view is we need data to somehow populate it, and then we also need the layout. So we have data, and then we have layout, and the adapter is in charge of bridging those two together to finally be able to present something to show the user. So onBind view holder is the important part because onBind view holder is where we get the data and we set the different views to show the information from the data. So in this specific example, we get a specific email to show, and then since our view holder already did all the find view by IDs, we're able to just say, hey, get this specific view and set the text of that view using the data that we grabbed. So this is an example of how the onBind view holder will look. So this is all very important because the adapter class is going to play a large part in our lab this week as well. And finally, if you remember in our introduction for the first week, we talked about how a lot of Android apps are basically have the same composition. So they basically consist of these 8 screens that are similar through all apps. So if your app is not a gaming app, you probably have all or some of these 8 screens. And in our first week, we focused on the stream screen, which is this one in the middle top here. So the stream screen was the part where the user were able to see a list of items and be able to scroll through that. So that's how the movie view with where we list a list of movies currently playing is our version of the stream screen. And this week, we're going to focus on this detail view. So the detail view, as you remember, is very similar to the stream screen, or they're connected in the way that sometimes when you have a stream screen and you have a bunch of items, oftentimes you'll be able to tap into a specific item and open a new screen, and that's usually called the detail view. So that's what we're going to be focused on in this lab. So for this week's lab, we're going to continue working on our Flix app that we built out the first week, and we're going to add some cool features to it. So the first important major feature we want to add is we want to allow users to tap on a movie to see specific details about the movie. And the second important feature we want to be able to implement is to allow users to play the trailer of a movie within the app. So in the first week, we didn't let the user interact with it that much. They could scroll around and see a list of movies, but they can't tap into anything. So this week, we're going to learn how to do that. We're going to learn how to let the users interact with the app, and we're going to learn how to let them open new screens in our app. Because if the app only had one screen, it might be kind of boring, right? So this week, we're going to add a new screen in our app, and we're going to be able to take the users to different parts of the app and learn how navigation in Android works. So that was the introduction for this week's lab. In this next video, we're going to go over how exactly we're going to launch a new screen for the detail view and how that all works with Android's intents.